everyone. I am Carla Jakubovic, hostess of the Swiss Learning Podcast, and thanks for listening. Swiss Learning represents 13 prestigious schools in Switzerland, and they're experts at finding the right fit for each student. On this podcast, we will showcase alumni from each one of these schools to share their success stories and insights with you. Today, I'm incredibly thrilled to welcome Charlotte Landolt-Nardin, an alumna from Brillantmont. Charlotte is the founder of organic brand Jardin des Monts, which translates to Garden of the Mountain. Charlotte, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and all. I'm very glad to be here today.
What are your first memories of Switzerland?
My first memory, I grew up in Brazil. I was born in Brazil, but my parents had decided of a style of life that is quite particular. So we used to spend 4 months in Brazil, 1 month in Paris, and 1 month here in Switzerland. So Switzerland was already part of my life since I was small. A big part of my family is also from here. That's why also maybe one of the reasons why I stayed here. This is because also I've got most of my family from my father's side that is living here.
Mm-hmm. And how did you end up at Brillantmont? Were you involved in the process of choosing a school for yourself?
I was not really, but my parents, actually it was thanks to my brother. He's the first one to get to Brillantmont. And he really loved that place because it was a small school and where it was very, I've got the term in French.
That's okay, go ahead.
Très familial, and very warm and since we just had left the family and where we used to travel only with my parents, so it was a bit hard to get to boarding schools and also outside without them. So it was the first time we could get this spirit, this family spirits that we could not get. I was in another boarding school before and it was not the same.
I think the fact that Brillantmont is such a small school really helps create that home away from home feeling, wouldn't you say?
Yes, this is what helped us a lot. That's why also, thanks to that, I managed to finish my schools also and get all the way down to it, done on it. And it was also the case for my brother.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your favorite things to do on campus?
I am dyslexic. And so it was very hard also for the teacher to get to understand my problem and my point of view on another school, and I was in a French-speaking school before, but there in BM, people were really more there for me. They really helped me out, and so I used to spend quite a lot of time in the library also, and to have like some specific classes, and it really bring me up where my self-esteem was very low at that time. And I can say that BM, thanks to the situation that we had there, really helped us out to go forward with that.
I'm glad you touched on that because I feel that it's a huge advantage of having such small classrooms, such an intimate setup between student and teacher, to where I feel that it becomes so much easier to overcome any obstacles, any learning challenges, if you have that personalized attention from your teacher, right? Do you think that played a role in your experience at the school?
Oh, it did, in fact. Completely.
And in boarding schools, we spend the entire day with our classmates, breakfast, lunch, dinner, study, sports, trips, which helps form incredibly strong bonds and lifelong friendships, really. Are you still in touch with any of your friends from Brillantmont?
It's true. I've got some of them that are still there and I still get to see. Unfortunately, not so often because we're living in countries that are apart. But it's always good to get to see some, especially with today, we're lucky to have the WhatsApp and Instagram and to get back to them like this. And really for that, we're really lucky. And then it's really good to have this feeling and retouching with them and keeping, it's very good time. And it's true, but I was quite lucky, let's say, because I back in those days, since I was 18, we had a special house.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
about that. Tell us about that.
Oh, it was great. So we were more free. And that was one of the conditions also for me, because I was from my previous school a bit fed up and I wanted to quit everything. And it was really the dead end for me. And so this option was really something that made me very happy. We were in a small house where where I finally managed to get like very strong relationships also with the girls, and always a good time, and only us. So it was a bit of before going to uni to time. So we were alone,
That sounds
and
really
getting ready for
nice.
the big steps.
Exactly, exactly. So it allowed for a smoother transition, I would imagine, because you got a little foretaste of what that independence was going to be like. Looking back, can you pinpoint a discipline or an experience from your time in school that played a role in making you who you are today?
Maybe some teachers that were very special for me back in those days is the English teacher. He really had this way of seeing the English classes where it was very alive, especially for me that was coming from the French side. So I didn't have any background in English. And so he was really there. And he made it very ludic and like a game. So we were listening musics and trying to get the words and to understand all. And it was very, and also explaining all the backgrounds of each. And was very, so you had a bit of a history and also the class, English classes also. So it was, I think, very interesting to get to see someone very into motivation, like really wanting people to get to understand and know and learn as much as possible, but always in the good and always good learning, good fun time. And I think all the teachers that I had there were there where I never felt, I never had the feeling that I had maybe in the other school where, oh, you're not good. Oh, you're not going to do great. You're no, there was always, oh, but this is good. Let's make it up. Let's find solution. And maybe it's more this that I really managed to keep for my business today is like when you start a business, you don't do it because you want to just lie back. Because you choose something else. And in something with the business is like you learn that you always have to be aware of everything that is happening around you. You always have to be able to manage problems. And unfortunately, there is a lot of problems when you have a company, even though they're small or big, but you always have to find solutions to everything. And it's really this jump. And for that, I think they were really helpful for that, really to show that there is always a way.
And it seems to be a reoccurring theme on the podcast, the alumni mentioning the role that the teachers played in getting them interested into a subject and really bringing it to life and in a way swaying them in directions that they wouldn't have anticipated for themselves. So it was interesting that you mentioned it as well. Now, switching gears a little bit to your professional career, I researched your company, Jardin in order to prepare for this interview. And if I were to guess what values are essential to you, I would say the love and respect for nature would rank high on your list. Would that be a fair assessment?
It is one of the highest ones.
Where do you think your love for nature began?
The love of nature is like from where I grew up in Brazil. So we're grown up in a farm. So 4 months of my life, 8 months of my life, we used to spend them in the farm, lost in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nature, and it became always more and more important, especially right now when we see the world, unfortunately, how it is going. Even though when I was little, I realized how much already we were into that and people were talking about it, but it was not really as much as we hear it now. And I find it a bit sad because if we would have woken up earlier, I think it would have been less hard time that we're having today. And it's also that I've got kids, 2 kids, and I want to leave them something behind that they can still get to see, because sometimes I already think about the Amazonian forest, and even like the tropical forests that we have in Brazil, like that are specific to Brazil, that are all along the coast, that are just beautiful. And when you see them disappearing the way that they're disappearing today, I'm a bit sad, because I really hope that they will get at least to be lucky enough to get to see a bit of that wild nature that is still for the moment, but maybe not for long in Brazil, for example.
Yeah,
and it's a bit
true.
The same here in Switzerland, where the situation is a bit different, because unfortunately most of the woods were already cut off, and now what is back in, it's already the secondary forests. But still, it's something that is really important to get to do. And we're lucky, because one of the area where we are right now, where the company is, where we grow our herbs that are after integrated in our cosmetics, it's most of it, it's already organic. And you can see it and feel it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your company and your products?
We started with a culture of herbs, medicinal herbs, because was something that was very interesting for us. And the idea was really to get the herbs out of the placard. How to say this? Armário.
Of the cupboards?
Of the cupboards of the grandmas, because usually it was mainly the people that we knew used those herbs. Every time they would be saying to us, oh, but this is one of the herbs that my grandma used to give me when I was sick and everything. And we were like, okay, yes, but now we made it into a tea, like an infusion. So it's a mix of different herbs that have a taste. So you can drink it during the day, or specifically, for example, I'm thinking about one that we did that is called après repas, so the after meal one, which helps all the metabolism with the digestion. But you can also drink it just because you like the taste. And the idea was to put those herbs back in the front and just make people rediscover them. And that's what we did with the infusions, and that's what we're doing also with the cosmetics. Also, by taking only one herb, that is going to be really the active part of the cosmetics. And of course, it's grown up in Rossinière. We take the active part here. And we also, because we want to be careful also with le bilan carbone.
The carbon emission.
Carbon emission, we have to be careful with that too. So we have a lab that works with us for the cosmetics that is just an hour drive from our place. So not too far for them. Of course, it's a Swiss company also. And it works only with organic products too. We have a label for the farm that is a Bio Suisse label, which is one of the highest label in Europe, and very, very good. And the other one is Demeter, and we're inspired also of Demeter in the garden, but we don't have that label. And you have the label Natrou for the cosmetics, which is one of the hardest to get also for the cosmetics, because we were like, we're growing herbs and we take so much care of them. So we have to put them in a situation where they can be happy again, you know?
Sure.
So we take them into the products, and of course, all the materials and that we use to make the cream, we have to work also with the lab, because we want to make sure that all that you put on your skin and everything is okay, you don't have allergies, so the tests are done, and that it's a safe environment.
I can definitely tell that there's a lot of thoughtfulness behind all of these processes to make sure that that you're watching out for the footprint that you're leaving behind environmentally. And one would think that by 2021, environmental awareness would be a given in the corporate world. However, we know thousands and thousands of companies, large companies, still do absolutely nothing for the well-being of the planet. Can you speak a little bit about this topic and share what encouraging trends you're seeing out there in the business world?
Let's say for me, when we started the business, it was it was actually 10 years ago, and we were maybe too early. We would say that no one was really ready for it. And maybe one good thing or bad thing about this COVID was this amazing waking up that we had around us. So before that, I already know a lot of brands, cosmetics brands that are organic, from Austria, from the States also. From the States, it's Tatarper. And she also go from the garden to the final products. There is this other brand that is called Origine in England that is also very interesting also because it was a pharmaceutical, herbal enterprise that really went after to the cosmetics. When you get to their place, you even can make your own tea specified for the thing that you're feeling to help you out. So it's very good and very interesting, and it was one of the brands that were the closest to what we're doing here also, even though we don't have this very medicinal side. But I can see that those brands, it's like really the local organic that is really going up right now.
Yeah. In reading about you, I also learned that you have business partners. And partnerships can be incredibly powerful because they can truly allow an idea or a business to flourish. So choosing the right one is crucial. Can you share what your process looks like when you're considering partnering up with someone? What are some of the qualities or components that you look for?
Okay. Of course, you never do anything alone. And I think this is one of the things that you get to learn also when you start something. And we were lucky to have here in Switzerland maybe many companies that could help us out with many different topics. So depending on what we want to create, we just have to find the right person that we can find. For example, the candles, we don't have the knowledge for the candles. So we're like, okay, we have to find a Swiss company. This is one of the first things that is very important for us. After that, we have to find a Swiss company that has the same value as us. So all that is inside has to be checked up. And for example, like the candle that we have is all made out of soya. So it's a wax of soya, which has no organic. It's not no GMO inside. There is this cotton. It's a cotton wick also, a cotton wick that is inside that doesn't contain any plomb. I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah, I will.
Very bad for the lungs and for the breathing and everything. And of course, you have a natural perfume inside also. So, and the natural perfume comes from France, and also you have the history of France. It comes from Grasse. So all those. So we really, every time that we try to find a partner, we're a bit of pain in the ass for them. But if they're good, they're good. So
yeah.
We're not. So we're very picky. And when we start a business together, we really want to get to know everything about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about plum. I believe that's lead. And that,
lead, yes.
Right, that it doesn't contain that. And can we actually talk a little bit more about organic products, Charlotte, and the importance of reading labels and being wise about what products we choose to put on our bodies?
Yeah, this is quite a big topic. Huh? I even have, because it was very hard, because when we started, we could not find any label that was strong enough or hard enough for our products. So we used to spend time on the internet just looking about all the ingredients to get to know whether they were good or bad. And every time it was really hard because one day it was fine and the next day you would realize that would cause cancer and everything. So we're like, oh, horrible. And so for the simple composition as we have for the lip balm, which is beeswax, shea butter, and essential oils, for those ones, it was easy because there you can really find the product, to find all the products that have to be the components and make sure that all the components are good. But unfortunately for the cream, for example, for the facial cream that we made with the Edelweiss, that was harder because, and thanks to the label that we have today so it's the natural one. It's one of the, it's a German for change. Germans are quite advanced for that we really, and from long time ago, they are they're a lot more sensitive to all the organic, sensitive, can we say it?
Mm-hmm.
Sensitive?
Yeah.
Sensitive to this really organic side. And thanks to them, we know now there is like a table where you can see which components you can put in and which are just banished. Mm-hmm. And that helps us a lot also to make the cleanest cream as possible. And of course, one of the things that we like to do is, there is apps that exists today. For myself, when I go and buy anything on the shops, I use the Yucca one. I think this is one of the most known here in the French-speaking part, and also for France. And there is another for the cosmetics that is called Clean Beauty. Mm-hmm. And so those apps are actually very easy to use.
Do they tell you what products to watch out for?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So you just go, you scan them, and they tell you, for Yucca, for example, you scan the code barre.
The barcode?
Yeah, the barcode. And they're, unfortunately, not for all the products here in Switzerland because they're more French than Swiss. And they know exactly, yes, no, those components are very dangerous. This product is so. This one is very good. Go for it. And after it says, why is it good or why is it a bit not as good as you can eat it, but or they're very. Don't go there.
Yeah, don't touch it. But
don't touch it.
That there seems to be an app for everything these days.
For food. And for the Clean Beauty, you scan actually the composition of the cream. Mm-hmm. And then it will say you what is good, what it has been dangerous, and all the information that you, yes, this one, be careful. So it's very helpful.
And you mentioned when Jardin de Monts started producing organic products about 10 years ago, not many other companies were doing it. So do you think one of the challenges of being a pioneer or a visionary is that it also comes with experiencing failure in a way and trial and error, because at the time that you're being the first one to do it, there's not a lot to reference, right? And there's not enough material out there. So I'm just wondering if failure comes with the territory of being a pioneer of vision or visionary.
It's true. Like for us, it was very hard. The beginning was we had more food than actually cosmetics, and we were very purist. So we really wanted to make products that didn't have any water inside. So that's why we started with the lip balm and the hand balm. So the lip balm has the Edelweiss production, and the hand balm was made also with beeswax and shea butter, and so it was very elementary. So it's very good, but it's very nutritive. Let's say our brand, it's for people that have problems with dry skins, and it is still the case right now with the gam that we have today, the brand that we have today. So it's true, like at that stage, we realized that we wanted to be too pure because we were making oils for the body that we could also use for the hair, but you could see that the clients were not ready for it at all because they wanted to have organic, but to have the good side of this cream that when you put that really sink into your skin and that there is nothing left in. And so there we learned. That was the first big step for us. And then when we started with that, it's true, like we were maybe one of the only company also that but it was very hard. And
sure, and I appreciate
you. Having it all on one shoulder is not that easy.
Yeah, but I appreciate you sharing that the first few years are challenging. I think sometimes it's important for people to hear that success doesn't always happen from day one, and that perseverance is an important part of the journey, right?
Yeah, and I actually can really see it today, and I'm a bit sad that it had to become also with the COVID. And from there, we really realized, like, because most of the sales points that we have are shops. So we had a bit of sales on the internet, but not that much. And then when we had COVID, we really got to see like the sales were up again, but thanks to internet. So to see like how much people were really interested into finding new products also. That were local and Swiss and organic. And that was really why people were coming and buying what we have. So it was good to persevere.
Can you offer any words of advice or any tips with those who are right now experiencing their first years of difficulties in their business? Any tips on how to keep motivated and not give up?
For me, there is always a solution. I'm maybe too optimistic, but for me, there is. It might be hard to find, and it is never easy. But you always have this light somewhere, and sometimes it will take. We'll have to make a big turn, but it's worth.
Sounds good. Charlotte, and finally, since we're both Brazilian, I'd love to end it with a question in Portuguese.
Sure.
Algum conselho para os brasileiros que estão considerando investir numa educação na Suíça? Vale a pena?
Vale mesmo a pena, mesmo se eu sei que todos os brasileiros que a gente encontrava na escola ficava meio difícil para eles também, que longe da família, longe de tudo. Mas acabaram todos com muita animação e uma energia nova também, um lado de maior independência também. E também tem aquele lado das montanhas, de poder esquiar, ver outra coisa, viajar também, que a Europa oferece muitas oportunidades também. E o fato também do Brillantmont sendo pequena, tem de qualquer jeito aquele ladinho de família que pelo menos faz que a gente não se sente completamente perdido.
Isso eu acho que é muito importante. Como você mencionou, é realmente uma experiência muito enriquecedora culturalmente, né? A Suíça é um país tão pequenininho no coração da Europa, no meio de tudo. Eu acho que é realmente uma oportunidade muito bacana de ter uma experiência cultural.
E além do mais também que a Brillantmont também oferece essa ideia também de... Além do mais, de ter estudante do mundo inteiro, é realmente ter essa oportunidade de viajar, sair da Suíça também para ver outras coisas que ficam sempre ao lado, e é sempre benéfico.
Maravilha, benéfico. Charlotte, muito obrigada. Thank you so much. I really appreciated having you on the podcast today. If any of our listeners wish to continue this conversation, can they find you on any of the social medias?
Yes, sure. They can find me through the company with Instagram or either Instagram, Facebook, or either also our web
webpage?
Platform internet, webpage, exactly. I'm sorry, getting lost with my... and so my webpage, of course, anytime, and I'm there. Anyways, people that are helping us out with those medias, they will transfer me. So just ask to talk to Charlotte, and I'll be more than happy.
Thank you. And if any of our listeners have any questions about anything else they heard on the podcast today, feel free to email me at carla@swisslearning.com. Thank you, and until next time.